Hey everyone, I am TheChosenOneLegend here, as always joined by my co-host.
Hi, I'm Kyle, also known as Fascurreyn.
And welcome back to the BunchaJokahs podcast, where, I mean, this might as well just be a Nintendo Direct discussion, right, Kai? That's what this monthly podcast is mostly going to be. It was an hour long and it was packed.
I mean, yeah, like we've been waiting a while to get some new news since the Switch 2 came out, and then they're like, yeah, here's a full hour of stuff. And it was decent, so, you know, yeah, lots and lots of stuff to cover.
Yep, so that's what we're mostly going to be doing today. Of course, we will be talking about games we've been playing at the end, and there's a few extra bits that came out afterwards as well I want to mention. But for lack of time, let's just get started with our first segment of the podcast. Can't have a podcast without news, baby, where we talk about the news highlights of the month. And, I mean, the Nintendo Direct. I guess we'll start off, we'll sort of do it in order. And they started with a whole massive 20-minute section on Mario. This was basically a regular Direct with a Mario Direct tacked on the front, which I'm not complaining about, but that explained the length, right?
Yeah, it did. Well, I wonder if they were like considering doing it as two separate things. I don't know.
Yeah. I reckon it was a possibility for sure. But they combined it, and here we are, starting things off with the Mario Galaxy movie. That's our title for the next film. We've got a kind of a teaser trailer. We know nothing about it other than returning cast, but yeah, it's going to be Galaxy inspired. And what are your thoughts on that one, Kai?
I mean, it's always in terms of the trajectory of the plot, because I think we'd kind of theorized, hadn't we, that like Galaxy, not us exclusively, but the Galaxy might be like the third one to end the trilogy or something along those lines. You know, that would have been the logical step, but it seems like they've just gone straight to it because I guess it loops in well with the other stuff they had, and they've clearly got some ideas rolling.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think it's going to be focusing a lot on, like, it'll be Mario, Yoshi, Rosalina might be the trio of this film, whereas it was very much like Mario, Peach, and I guess you could say Toad or you know, whatever in the last one. So I can very much see, like, that being the main plot line, and then you might have, like, Peach, Luigi, DK being a side story. I don't know.
It is interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting.
On that note, DK is like the only main cast member not confirmed to return. That doesn't mean he won't be returning. But he could still be there. They just haven't announced it. But that maybe they're doing something else there. It is surprising that they didn't just go Mario World next. And this also means that if we're getting characters like Rosalina, maybe we're skipping over more, you know, frequent classics like Wario, you know, who people wanted in here. So it's definitely an interesting approach. And granted, they still said it's the Mario Galaxy movie, but it's pulling from all the games, much the way the first movie did. So who knows what else we'll see there. But there's certainly no limit to what they could do with this concept. I mean, the soundtrack, the first movie was great. This one's gonna be elite.
Oh, it's going to be so... I mean, you're ready for the Gusty Garden remix, unless they bring in, you know, Take On Me or like some sort of ABBA song in its stead, which I could very much see happening. But yeah, I mean, you are right that, like, the logical step really would have been Mario World, where, like you say, you have, like, Wario and Daisy are the new characters, and then obviously you get a lot of focus on Yoshi as... sort of the new sidekick of the film. That would have made a lot, and then you know, for example, like Bowser Jr. is the antagonist of the film. You could have had a lot of that, and then you draw inspiration from things like Sunshine, basically all the things that are not Galaxy, because Galaxy is such a can of worms. Yeah. So that would have been the normal thing, but clearly they've skipped that step, gone straight to Galaxy. So yeah, I do think they're just going to run right into that. And, you know, as for the plot, I don't think we need to think too deeply about it. It's just going to be Mario goes hopping along, you know, the galaxy, like finds lots of things.
Bowser probably going to, you know, do his thing he did where he wants to take over the universe. Maybe he'll steal Princess Peach's castle in the same way. I mean, I'd imagine they'll give Peach a little more to do like they did in the first movie. And Rosalina, again, a lot of potential there. People are all fan casting. I feel like they're going to go with someone like Scarlett Johansson because she's a big name and she'd kind of fit. But
I agree
who knows?
with that, yeah.
There's certainly a lot of potential. We're gonna get Lumas. I guess normal Toad could become Captain Toad, like his origin story. You know, there's stuff they could do there. But we could do a whole video speculating on what this movie's gonna be. But it's definitely something we'll be seeing and we'll be talking about next year. Is it next year it comes out? I think it is, right?
I thought it was.
Huh. Yeah, we're gonna assume that anyway. But that being said, they're getting on the hype train early because coming out this month, to sort of tie in with this, is a collection of Galaxy 1 and 2 to the Switch, which has caused a lot of controversy online because it's like 70 quid for the double pack, and they are 2 Wii games, and I get it, like, it's a hard ask. It's very Nintendo. It's like, money. Oh my.
It is basically that. Like, I personally do not care for this in the slightest. I think the Galaxy games are really, really good, but I mean, Galaxy 1 I already have in 3D All-Stars, which was ridiculous to be a limited time thing. That's still so true.
Yeah.
But then now it's like, okay, well, Galaxy 2's on the Switch now. I don't care about Galaxy 2 that much. I'm going to be honest. I know, even if you can buy them separately, and I could just get that one. I really don't care to replay it. I could just go and boot up the Wii. It's not that big of a deal. So for me, this is like such a nothing idea, and I think they should have just done an add-on to All Stars, like re-release All Stars or something, and be like, oh, Galaxy 2 is a £15 DLC. I would have been like, yeah, that's chill.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just 15. But clearly, it's very money heavy, and it's just it's a big whatever thing, and yeah, I don't care for it much.
I also I'm with you. I don't need Galaxy 1. Galaxy 2, I do kind of want because I've played it once a long time ago. I don't want to dig up my Wii U to replay it, and I've been waiting for them to do this. But £35 or £33, whatever, just for that one game, it's like it. Even if it was like 20, I feel like that would be still a bit of an ask. But it'd be like, okay, sure, £20 each, £35, 40, or for both of them, you could work with that. But this is just greedy, and they do have some enhancements. Like there's more like retexturing. It looks like compared to like the 3D All Stars release, so they've gone a bit more in depth. They're gonna have 4K on the Switch too, which I guess will be nice. And, if you've never played these before, yeah, these are great games. It's probably worth the price and how good quality they are. But for a replay, that's asking a lot, so...
It's exactly that. Like, it just... I don't know. Maybe this is me, looking at it wrong, but the combined thing of Galaxy Movie and Galaxy 1 and 2 it all feels very artificial, that hype that they're trying to build up. I don't know what it is, but just them jumping into Galaxy when it wasn't expected, and then going, here's both of the games on the Switch. For Mario Bros. 40th anniversary, I thought focusing on Galaxy specifically was really weird. Of all the games to choose, I mean, I know it's one of their top ones, but even still, it just all felt very odd to me. So I'm not really behind it.
Yeah, you can see the business gears turning as they're doing it. It's all marketing. But, hey, they're releasing the storybook, a physical storybook, and that's kind of cool. And some amiibo.
That is cool. Yeah, that is quite cool.
That's neat, and that's actually reasonably priced at £25, so that's more acceptable. But, we'll see how... it never hurts for it to be available. I just hope they decrease the price at some point, or they actually put them on sale. But Nintendo. It's gonna be this way for life, but
Well, it's exactly that. You want to build up hype for the Galaxy series. Make Galaxy 3! Just make a new game. I get that they're on this train of re-releasing everything on the Switch or Switch 2, but, just make a new one. Genuinely, it's not... I can't imagine it's that difficult. It doesn't have to be amazing, just make Galaxy again.
Well, I'm afraid
it feels like the simple solution.
It does, but the new Mario game they did announce, actually, instead, was Mario Tennis Fever. Probably not much to say on this one. It looks like Mario Tennis. But the story mode where you play as, the babies is kind of sick. That actually looked incredibly, fleshed out for a sports game. So, That kind of had me interested a little bit, I think.
I feel maybe a little bit bad for some of the developers behind the tennis games, because not only this one, but the last couple have all had very interesting concepts like this. That adventure mode, the graphics even remind me of like Mario RPG in a sense.
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of the upgrades you can do and all of that. It looks really cool. The game modes look great. Everything they've added to the game makes it really interesting. But it's tennis. And like it feels like they release a tennis game every couple of years, and it's like, I wish that the effort they were putting into this and all these cool ideas they did into a game that wasn't tennis.
It is the case of,
I think that's all it is. I just want them to put this effort elsewhere.
Yeah, at their core, like, they do all play, like, you go back to Mario Tennis on NSO, the 64 one, and the core of it plays exactly the same, you know. Of course, if you're a mega fan, you will notice the differences. But to the average person, it's just another sports game. Granted, they sell well. These always tend to sell pretty well. It looks like they're putting in the effort here. So I respect it not just being like a cash grab like Strikers, you know. So rest in peace.
Yeah, they are putting in a lot of effort into it. I have to give credit. It reminds me a lot of ARMS, where it's like really cool idea, lots of extra things you can do in the game, but I don't really care to actually play the game itself that much. That kind of thing. But you have to appreciate the effort, because they have made it look very good.
Definitely, yeah. But I guess one Mario thing we both probably will be giving a go is Wonder's getting a Switch 2 edition next year, where what we saw of it was sort of this big multiplayer park where you can do mini games like hide and seek and sort of like a juggle the bomb sort of mode, and it's basically just more multiplayer options for the game, which kind of fits our YouTube things we've been doing perfectly, right?
Yeah, pretty much. So I'm liking that they've added this. It doesn't hurt. Yeah, it's cool little modes.
Yeah, it's a good idea to add more to Wonder specifically. We don't know the extent, and weirdly they didn't emphasize online during it. They didn't say it wasn't online, but given, you know, NSO has game chat, you kind of think they'd want to pick that up. So hopefully the online's a little better than it was in the base game. I guess we'll have to wait on that one. The other thing with it is it seems there is going to be single player content. We saw what looks like some new levels. We saw the Koopalings back, and people have spotted a little glimpse of Rosalina that they probably weren't meant to show, but they did. So she'll be playable as well. I guess that Galaxy tie-in.
Where did they show her? Do you know?
It's in one of the freeze frames in the trailer. You know, you have like on top of each level on the map, there's a little like preview of the level.
Oh yeah.
You can see Rosalina in one of those previews if you look closely.
Oh.
So
okay.
Clearly something they weren't planning to reveal yet, but that's neat, and I think I do need to see more on this because the multiplayer looks fun, but it will last us like a gameplay session, then I won't touch it again. So I'd like the single player to be substantial too, but either way, the fact we're getting both is kind of neat.
Yeah, agreed. It's nice to add more content to this because Wonder, you know, it's a very good game. So yeah, but we'll definitely be covering what we can from this. I think some of these multiplayer modes and whatever else is going on.
Yeah, and surprisingly, the only Switch 2 edition from Nintendo we saw. So I'm figuring we'll be getting more down the line, but they're holding out for the moment. So I guess we'll have to see. The next game and the final game of Mario is Yoshi. We have Yoshi and the Mysterious Book, which is an interesting one because immediately I love the art style of it. This sort of book aesthetic, sort of hand-drawn, really fits the Yoshi series. It's adorable. My concern is that everything they showed of the game was not like a Yoshi's Island platformer so much as it was, hey, you run up to this thing and it does a little cute reaction to you. It looked very basic and kind of babyish. And what it kind of reminds me of is, you know that Princess Peach game we got, Showtime?
Yeah, I was thinking exactly that, yeah.
Exactly, that was like, hey, this game, I played the demo, you know, it's cute that you get to play a sword fighter and all the scenery reacts around you and it's fun, but there's no real substantial gameplay to it. It's clearly for young kids. And it makes sense if they did that with a Yoshi game. I would personally be a little disappointed, because when it goes for the full-on platformer like Yoshi's Island, it's great. But I'm hoping there's more to it. I don't know how you were thinking about that one, Kai.
Pretty much the same, to be honest, is until they show that there's substantial, like, interesting, dynamic gameplay, I'm not too bothered. It's just one of those ones that looks cool and probably won't go further into it. I'm still traumatized from Yoshi's Island DS and how some of that game is really, like, awkward. So, I don't know. And the only other thing I found weird is, like, maybe it's just in what they showed, maybe it's like the whole game. They put a lot of emphasis on the Crazy Daisy. Like, it seems like that's what you have instead of Baby Mario in this game.
Yeah, I don't know if there's... So, I think it's probably... You can interact with a lot of enemies in that way, and that's probably just the first one. So they're showing off, like, the tutorial one, if I had to guess.
I think so. But, I'm looking through it now, and Yoshi does occasionally have other people on his back that can get, like, thrown. And do certain things. I think like one of them gives the ability to fish, one of them can be like launched. So they're all going to give different abilities. So I kind of dig that. That could make the gameplay interesting, but we kind of just have to wait and see, don't we?
Yeah, it's coming out next year, so we've got time to find out more about that one. And another game coming out next year in spring is the new Tomodachi Life, Living the Dream. There's not really much to say about this trailer. I'm still, like, not over the when is the game coming out? That's still the best bit of the trailer. But, it kind of just looks like more Tomodachi Life, right?
Yeah, pretty much it is just more Tomodachi Life. I think the thing about the Tomodachi Life is obviously the game can get quite stale when you know, once you played it for a day or two and you've finished adding characters, it's like, okay, I'm just going to buy someone food again. So I'm hoping there's just a bit more variety, because I think that's what the original was missing. So hopefully you can get some really interesting things out of this game, and you know, they make it a little bit more interactive in certain areas. I know the whole point is that it's not meant to be that interactive, but it would be nice if there was at least something to keep you playing the game, you know?
At the very least, it looked just as weird as it should be, and I guess that's the key selling point. But we didn't see for sure if they have the face effects from Metopia. There was on the menu like a little bit for like extra stuff that people think might be it. So hopefully that's back, because that is also a major selling point, right? That was
I think it is
huge.
I think it's going to be face paint, which makes you able to do anything.
And if so, the amount of options you'll have for your islands will be insane. So...
Who are you putting on your island?
That's the question. Like, do I do people from our friendship group? I mentioned to you on the stream, like, you could do like a Danganronpa, and obviously more on that later, you know, but that would be a fun one. You could do a mix match, you know, it will come down to instinct, and by that I mean I will probably spend the first 10 hours of the game just deciding who I want. But
yeah, it would be nice if you could have like multiple islands or something, so I could separate them by that. But I mean, I guess you could have multiple accounts on the Switch, so you just do it by that.
Really, they didn't show a lot of the finer details. But I guess if it's coming out spring, again, there's more time, so we'll have to see exactly what makes it different from the previous ones, I suppose. Speaking of sequel games, or follow-up games, I suppose. Age of Imprisonment, our next Hyrule Warriors. Another one where not too much information was shown. Just sort of a general, hey, it's coming, it's November, so it's quite soon. But we got a Korok Musketeer, and that's just the best, so...
That is very, very cool.
It's... I respect that they're not just keeping it to, you know, what we know from Hyrule Warriors, and yeah, of course it's Rauru, and of course it's Sonya, but let's make an original character who's just a bizarre concept. Why not?
Yeah, it really is that way, and I'm gonna be very curious to see what the final cast of characters is, because it does look kind of strange at times. You know, you've obviously got your sages, Zelda, Sonya, Rauru. There's one that I'm just looking at in the trailer now. Where's it gone? Like a random scene where you're playing as Rauru, and there's one of the guys in the corner, and he looks like just a random guy. I'm trying to figure out who he is. Hang on, let me send this to you. It's definitely not this, but I was going to say, is this like one of the guys from the Bolson construction? That's not how it works. I don't think that existed back then. But
to be
let me
fair,
just send this to you and see who you think this is. It
wouldn't be beyond them doing something weird like the fairies and that. Oh yeah, that does look just like an NPC.
Some guy.
Huh.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, maybe there's more that they're not showing, or who knows. But yeah, I think there's a lot of potential with this. Obviously, with your Zonai devices, the enemy creation is always one of my the things I find most interesting, because they actually made the Blights good in Age of Calamity. So I'm curious, like, what they do with all the Malice enemies and whatnot. So there's a lot of potential with this one. It is just that main story where I'm like, are they going to do anything that isn't just the Imprisonment War? Because, to be honest, I do not care about it. So I'm hoping there's more than that.
I'm hoping, because what I feel like the last game did well, even though it went non-canon, is that it told its own story. Like, it did stuff that wasn't just recreating what we knew from Breath of the Wild, but it's when it took it on its own direction and, like, made characters who weren't characters before, or saw them in a different era, like, young Impa and Pura and that, and, that making them different characters than they were before. And it's they've got my trust in being able to flesh out an era. I just hope it stays this time. We've mentioned it before. Those sages have got to, they've got to have faces. I think they're purposely holding out on us, and I hope that's the case, because I will be mad if they're still just generic.
Well, that's the thing, because Breath of the Wild, like, we had the champions, and they were, they were quite interesting characters. They all had unique designs, own little stories, but you didn't get to play as them until Age of Calamity, so it became really cool. I think the novelty of playing as, like, these old characters has very much... It's not the same here, because we don't care about the sages, and we've already played as all these races now. So I do wonder what they're going to do to make that side of things actually good.
Yeah, like, this is on one hand, it could be a negative of the game, like, okay, we haven't got these interesting sages, we've got these boring ones. But you could also say it could be reversed and become a strength of the game, where this is their opportunity to fix that from Tears of the Kingdom and make these actual characters we care about. I just hope they do that, but we've yet to see, so...
Yeah, the only other character we've seen more of is it looks like they're basically having a Zonai machine version of Link that you can play as.
Yeah. We knew they were going to get him in there somehow.
In some capacity, so...
Yeah,
that's kind of neat. And it looks like he can sort of transform into, like, a flying mode and all these different other things, so that'll be quite cool to see.
Yeah, it definitely looks like they're not just playing it completely safe. They're doing some fun concepts with it. Like you said, the Zonai devices, incorporating those and comboing those with elements and stuff we saw. So it's a fun one, and I've pre-ordered it myself, so I'm getting it at launch at least. So I'll definitely be talking about it down the line.
Yep.
I get the next thing to talk about, bizarre, out of nowhere, Virtual Boy NSO. Like, not what people wanted, but I love that they're doing it, because I think part of game preservation is not just preserving the good things, it's preserving the weird things as well. So, sure, Virtual Boy deserves a second chance.
I think there's a department in Nintendo that just focuses on the really weird decisions.
Yeah.
And I don't know what they take before deciding these things, but clearly they landed on the Virtual Boy this time around, and dear lord, like, it's just like, something else, isn't it? It's something else.
The only problem is to properly play it, you need to buy the device, which is like, I don't know, £70 or something. For a bit of, like, gaming memorabilia, I suppose when you keep it in that regards, it's not too bad. But, like, let's be real, even though people say these games are actually not bad, they're still, like, old, sort of arcadey kind of games. You're going to play for a few minutes, go, oh, that was neat, and then move on, right? So, is it really worth the investment, even for the £25 cardboard version? Probably not, but I like that it's there anyway. It's not costing any more, it's on the service, so I like that it exists, even if I'm not going to use it.
Yeah, I mean, I got a mini SNES, so that's enough for me. Well, and plus, like, Aussie Sam, he's the rich one. I'm sure he'll buy it and do a review for us or something like that.
There we go. I'll get him on it. He doesn't have a choice in the matter.
Excellent.
Now, next, we won't talk much on this, but Metroid Prime 4, still looking good. We've got a release date now. It is their December game, so that's good to know it is this year. Samus has a bike now. Why not? Link got one. I suppose it's only fair. Mario gets one in Mario Kart. It's give everyone a bike.
I mean, honestly, I think this is an excellent choice. If you can make Samus into a ball, you can make Samus into a bike. Like, this just makes sense. It fits the theming. Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it is incorporated gameplay-wise. Like, some people were concerned it's like, oh, are they making everything an open-world game? Is it going to be empty? I figure it's more like, here's a way to get between areas. Basically, like, sort of like a fancy sort of fast travel system in a way. Or I think it's going to be incorporated in that kind of way. And they're probably going to have some really cool set pieces with it as well, I'd imagine. But, it's just, yeah, people were looking for something, what makes this game different from the previous Prime games. Having a motorbike is definitely different, so we got our wish.
Yep. Gotta give you that one, yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm probably going to ask for this one for Christmas, so I won't get it quite at launch, but shortly thereafter. So, it's on the radar. Donkey Kong Bananza, now. This is a weird one, because it got DLC, that's out. And honestly, by all accounts, it was kind of a major disappointment for people, it seems. Like, it's not been a positive reception. And mostly by the basis of, this should have been free. Because you get Donkey Kong Island, which is a cool new area. Like, adding that from the original game, from 64 and the country games is fun. There's a few Easter eggs. But as it turns out, there's actually nothing to do on it. There's no collectibles to find.
Really?
It's just walk around it, and that's basically it. It's just like a new little sandbox, and it's quite small. So it'll last you like 10 minutes. And the bulk of the game is they added this new roguelike mode, which, if you like it, by all accounts, it's a good one. Like, it seems like people are enjoying it if you're into that kind of mode. I'm personally not. It's not really my thing. But the problem is, it's still £16 for visiting old areas as a roguelike is kind of a big ask, really. Especially when it's kind of a niche. And people are equivalent, basically saying it's as if Mario Odyssey made Mushroom Kingdom and Luigi's Balloon World a £16 thing rather than free, right? It's kind of like they're doing that. Except, not only was Mushroom Kingdom in the base game, it had loads to explore and loads of cool stuff and stars to find, and so it's not even that good. And at the end of the day, like, whatever, I just won't buy it. The main game's great and I'm satisfied with it, but it is a shame because it feels like potential to have done something cool, and they kind of dropped the ball on it, I suppose.
I think that's fair. It's, like you say, there is that roguelike mode, but again, the whole thing of roguelikes is that they're very repeatable, but you do have to wonder exactly how repeatable is this mode. You've got to have a lot of depth to it to make it have that value. And I wonder if they just did, of course I've not seen it personally, but I wonder if they got that formula down well or not. And having nothing else to do there, it kind of sucks. So,
I think
it's a shame.
It's kind of funny as well, like this is it's unfair to make these kind of comparisons really, but Hades 2 just dropped. That's like a roguelike, which has, every time you replay it, there's like new story bits, and it's people like they got the loop down perfect, and that's only a few pounds more than this. Hollow Knight just released for £16, and that's an entirely new game with loads to do, and then this is £16, and it's like, well, you compare it to the Xenoblade DLCs, or even like the Breath of the Wild DLCs, and it just doesn't hold up. Yeah. But hey ho, I was fine, content with the base game anyway. So still get the base game, Kai. That's worth your money.
It is like very close to the top of my backlog list, so I probably will be playing it in the next couple of months.
Very nice. I look forward to hearing your thoughts. But switching over to Pokemon for a second, we're not going to go over like what's the new game?
Pokopia or whatever it was.
No. We're not going to go over ZA, is what I mean. We're not going to go over.
Oh, ZA. I don't really. I like. The only thing I'll say about ZA is I do like the new megas for the Kalos starters. I think those are quite cool. Yeah, and that's it. That's all I have as a thought.
But we are going to mention what you said before, Pokopia. Have Animal Crossing Dragon Quest builders, but you play as a Ditto. Kind of like it. I don't think I'm going to get it. I'm not a Pokemon fan or a Builders fan, but it looks cute. I respect Pokemon doing these weird spin-off things, and sometimes they do stuff that you kind of think, why? But I don't know. This one lands for me. The concept lands anyway. I think they're kind of onto something.
I mean, it looks like Animal Crossing to me. It's another one of that genre. Animal Crossing meets farming sim, because you can see the plants and stuff. I wonder how much depth the game is going to have. But
we see
it's
more
so
of a civilization. And, who knows how much there's going to be, but there's absolutely an audience for this. Creating your own village with your perfect Pokemon and your favourite ones, and making it the way you want it to look like. We see evidence of multiplayer with like 2 ditto creepy kids walking around. So yeah, not much to say, but why not? I guess.
Yeah, it's just I think we'll keep an eye on it and see what happens when it comes out, like what it's like, because it's a very strange thing to have Ditto human on an island kind of deal. It's very funny.
Now, what was the biggest surprise, and probably the biggest reveal for me, of the entire Direct? Never have expected it in a million years. Danganronpa. Danganronpa 2x2. I guess kind of 4, but it's a remake of 2, which, hey, that's neat, but an entirely new scenario, the same length of 2, the same length as the base game is included, which is basically a what if, I suppose, where we're going to have different killers and victims with the same cast. And oh boy, we said it. We were saying just before recording, but we could do an entire video on this, and we might.
I mean, there's a lot to unpack here. Like, we haven't had one of these main games since I believe V3 came out in 2017. So it's been 8 years. Kind of insane. And the thing is about it, and this is, I think, very deliberately done, we only see 2 very, very short scenes about the game's knowledge, and neither of them really tell you anything about the game. So truly anything could happen in it. But we already know from online that it's entirely new story, entirely new situation. Yeah. All it is really doing is apparently everything that takes place before this, basically the first game is canon to this story still, but everything afterwards is almost like a split route. So it's all the same characters as in 2, but everything else is going to change, and that's very interesting. This could be a massive rug pull, and it's actually just Danganronpa 4 with a whole new cast, and they're trying to trick us, because they have done that before. But I do think this is legit, where they were just hey, this was the most popular one, let's do that again with some new ideas. It looks like they put a lot of effort into it. It doesn't seem lazy, so I'm so here for it.
Considering, again, we won't go into any spoilers here, but considering what V3 was, it's kind of hard to do a sequel, but this is a good way to do it. Or, a new game of any kind of Danganronpa. This feels like a good way to do that. And also, again, without spoilers, there are sort of plot reasons why it makes sense you could do it with 2 above the others as well. There's more options for ways they could include differences and do different things. And hey, even beyond that, just in the remake aspects, maybe they could improve some of those damned mini-games and make an actual improved Hangman's Gambit, So, that's always true. That's something they could do there. True. It looks good. I like the aesthetic of it as well, which seems mostly similar, but the portraits now move a little bit, it seems. So there's a slight... the environments have a bit more lighting going on in them and stuff. it's a weird one because I'm playing Danganronpa 2 with a friend, like, at the moment, so it's kind of a weird timing, but it means I'm going to be fully ready for what comes next. I'm going to have it on my mind on the forefront, and yeah, if we speculated, we'd be here forever, but suffice to say, we are both very hyped for this one.
Yeah, we'll see how things go, but I do really, really like the graphical updates. It seems like they've rebuilt a lot of the game from that, because all of the UI is pretty much different. I remember going through, I read an interview after this was announced and, looked at all of that, so very, very interested to see like exactly what they do with it. I will be streaming it when it comes out next year. We don't have a more specific release date than that. So yeah, it's gonna be very interesting. And apparently there will be a global test play at some point for the game, which is kind of weird. Man. I wonder if that will just be the original or what. But yeah,
didn't they do for like, wasn't it a demo of Danganronpa 1 that had a different killer and victim or something for the first trial? I believe.
There's also V3 had a demo that was just its own mini chapter that was like, I think it was total like 2 hours long. So all you did was meet the characters and they showed off how the trials worked. So probably that.
Yeah. We'll have to see how that goes. That'll be a fun one. But our last game that I want to mention here from the, there's been other bits. There's like Dragon Quest VII Remake, sure. Resident Evil coming to Switch 2, neat. But the last one we're going to actually talk about
Power
is
Wash Simulator 2.
Power Wash Simulator 2. You have like a little stand now. You can make scaffolding to like get up higher places. I mean, what's not to like?
Followed by Suika Game Planet. Oh my god.
I tell you what, we'll give those their own discussions, Kai. They're that substantial. So instead, we'll end on...
Yeah.
Hell yeah. We'll end on Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave, which inherently... We all expected a new Fire Emblem game. We did not expect it to have, or I guess I at least didn't expect it, to have connections to Three Houses and have Sophus in there. And I find it funny that the fanbase are still arguing whether it's a sequel or a prequel, and they can't tell because adult Sophus could mean both. But, depending how you interpret it. But, I like it. I like what we're seeing. What were your thoughts, Kai?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it makes sense in hindsight. Like, Three Houses is such a huge success. They had the Warriors game and everything like that. So they're clearly building on that. And, this one looks good. It's clearly like you start off with what looks to be a little bit of a tournament or battler arc, and then clearly it will get into the really serious stuff after that. It does look to be an all-original story, despite it being set in the same world, which I think is a good thing. I think that's absolutely good that they're expanding on that. I already am feeling a lot better about this one than I did Engage, because Engage was very clearly just like, let's be a little silly, here's all the characters. And now this one, I'm like, oh, we're back to something, it's a returning world, but it looks incredibly different, so I'm super here for this. Bringing back all the old concepts and stuff. I'm definitely a fan of the main character because his name, I think, is Kai. It's spelt as wrong as you can get because it's CAI, which is just all the wrong letters. But the pronunciation might end up being the same, which will be very funny.
Take what we can get.
There's that. Yeah, there's one of the edgy guys who looks like he could be a, sort of, I guess I shouldn't say who he's in air of, but you can probably tell based on the hair colour and outfit. It looks to be like possibly one of those, has die in the name, like...
Yeah.
You've got a very specific character there. So that all looks neat. So overall, the game just looks brilliant. Like, graphically looks fun, gameplay looks good. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah, all in all, it looks like a very solid game. Again, I like I mentioned, I like that it's adding that sort of more like world building and lore to the world of Three Houses, without being like without having the baggage of here are all these characters again. It's a good way to do it, I think. It's coming out next year, so we got a little bit to wait, but it will probably be a later game next year. But definitely one I'm going to be getting, that's for sure. I know people were waiting for like a remake of one of the older games, but I guess this will do instead, right?
Yeah, exactly, and there is that.
it's also, people are speculating because it's called Fortune's Weave, and like there's 4 characters that they're showing who are like going into this tournament arc, it seems. At least that's the initial premise. And people are already saying, does this mean there's going to be 4 routes? That is the question. Are they going to do different routes again? We don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised.
That's the question. It does very much look that way, which would be funny. My main thing that I'm looking at is I'm not 100%, but I feel quite sure that this game is going to be set in Almyra rather than Fodlan. Almyra being the place where, obviously, I don't think it's spoiled at this point, where Claude is from. And you know, all of that, where you know that they're like battle hardened warriors who you know, their whole thing is like, you know, they do lots of battling all the time for fun. Like everything about what we saw in the trailer fits the vibe of Almyra, so I do think that's what they're going to do, and I'm kind of down for that. I think it's cool to deviate a little bit like that. With all of these characters. So yeah, I'm super down for this. I guess I'm interested to see more, I think, is the start. Like, how is the actual game going to be laid out? You know, is it going to be multiple routes or what?
In the grand scheme of things, they didn't really show a lot, but this was like an initial trailer, and it's probably going to, like I said, probably going to be later next year, or summer. So it'll be interesting to have like a deep dive in this if it gets its own direct or whatever, where we learn more. But in the meantime, anyway, Kai, we are still set on Fire Emblem, because we're going to leave the direct for now and quickly mention we got a new mobile game, Fire Emblem Shadows, a social deduction Fire Emblem game. Okay, I haven't played it, but by all accounts, it's weird, right?
I've kept an eye on this one because I was curious, and
you like social deduction usually. So
this is normally my bag, but very much fluctuated. Of like, first off, it was okay, it's a mobile game, and then the very first reaction after that was social deduction. That's weird. Then it was, wait, this is a furry game. What's going on? Why is that the premise? I was like, that's so.
They've already had like a crossover with Heroes for one of the furry versions. I think of Lynn. So you know, you can see where they're going.
Yeah. They've got Lynn and Dimitri in there to basically get people playing it. And it's like, okay, you've got furry versions of them, I guess. And then people started playing the game. I haven't personally. But everyone immediately said, this is terrible because you only have 3 units you bring into battle. It's an auto-battler. It doesn't play anything like Fire Emblem. There are just squares on the board that people move by. So it's no different to any other tactical RPG. It has no relation to Fire Emblem. Apparently figuring out who's evil is ridiculously easy, and it just isn't good for that reason. Like, you don't actually play the game. So that was the first sort of 24, 48 hour reaction, and now I've seen people saying it's good, and I can't tell if they're being contrarian or what. I think this is just the Fire Emblem fan base summed up, that they're flip-flopping between this is the best Fire Emblem game and this is the worst one. Based on what I've seen, it seems pretty damn bad, because it's just like, it's not even Fire Emblem at this point. Even Heroes is a massive step up in comparison. It's just... And to be fair, actually, credit to Heroes, it is actually quite a good mobile game. But this is just whatever, you know.
The credit I will give it is that Kate sent me one of the pieces of music. Our friend Kate sent me one of the pieces of music from it, and it's actually a banger. Like, the soundtrack sounds great. But I'll take that. I'll take that music I can listen to without playing the game. I'll quickly go over a few more highlights before we end off, because we got a lot, but a few little bits. Mario Kart World got an update. They actually added a thing where it tracks the P switches you found, and it tracks the gold coins you found. Doesn't tell you where to find new ones, but at least now you can look up the new ones online and know which ones you found and actually 100% it without being a pain in the arse. So that's good. Better late than never, I suppose.
Yeah, I'll get to that one more because I've been playing that, so we'll get to that.
That's I kind of wish they went further with it, but hey, that's an update. There was a PlayStation State of Play, nothing of interest except at the end they showed off the new Wolverine game by the team who made Spider-Man. And looks, as you expect from that team, looks great. They're going all on with like the gore in it and tearing people apart, which I guess you kind of want for a Wolverine game. So, yeah, that looks pretty sick. One final piece. Doug Bowser is retiring from head of Nintendo of America. I forgot to get the name of the person who she's replacing him. But, alright. No more Bowser working at Nintendo, I suppose. That was neat, otherwise I can't remember a thing he did. But,
he's just been around. Right. His name was Bowser, you know, you got that.
That's kind of rare.
I don't think he was bad, he just wasn't Reggie.
No. Exactly. Reggie sort of had this thing, and it's not just that he wasn't Reggie, it's that Nintendo themselves, you know, don't do like in-person E3 presentations anymore, where Reggie would get up on the stage, or where they'd have puppet versions of Reggie and Miyamoto, and they don't do that level anymore, you know. So he didn't really get the chance to be that face the way Reggie was. But hey, hopefully the new person does well. And that is it. That is it. 46 minutes. That's
I'll
it
touch
for
on
the
that
game.
quickly. The one replacing him is called Devin Pritchard, who seems to be a Pikmin fan, so big wins there. And then also the new. I might be getting some of this wrong, but the new CEO of Nintendo, I believe it is, or something along those lines, is now Satoru Shibata, who, if you didn't know, is like one of the big people behind who got Xenoblade localized in Europe. Yeah, originally
Nintendo of Europe. Yeah, so
we got some good signs. I don't know. I think there are probably some Xenogears fans that are going copium on that fact, but I thought I'd throw that in there. That's all.
Hey, fingers crossed, right?
But, exactly.
That being said, let's move over to our final segment of the podcast, Games Time, baby, where we talk about the games we've been playing. And I will hand it over to you, Kai. What would you like to talk about today?
Well, I'll just do the one quick one for now, and we can delve more into other stuff next month. I've been playing Mario Kart. I can talk about this a little bit more now. So, as I've mentioned, I'm specifically this is for free roam. Although I guess I was back closer to when the game came out, I got 3-star on every every speed, but you just do it on the highest speed and then it counts for the others. For every track and every knockout tour, I got 3 stars, which actually it was less difficult than I thought. I think the hardest one only took me like 3 or 4 tries. So that wasn't too bad. And then now I've been playing free roam, where again I can only play it, I've told myself, when I'm on the treadmill, because I'm trying to get more into my fitness. And I've gone through and I'm like, okay, well, let's try and 100% the free roam, because there's 394 P switches, 200 Peach medallions, and like 150 blocks, whatever they are, question mark blocks. So, as of right now, I have done all 394 P switches. The update came in when I was on like the last 50 or so, or the last 100 P switches. So it was nice to have there in case I missed any. But that was basically it. So there was that. And it did actually help me, because I missed a single one throughout all of that, and using the in-game guide actually helped me. And I've now moved on to Peach medallions, which I now have about 80 of, I believe, out of the 200, which are actually sometimes harder to get, because like the P-switches are just out and about. Peach medallions often are just like in the middle of nowhere or hidden. They are a nightmare sometimes.
They're like up a tree or something, you know. You have to search for those.
Some of them I don't even know what the actual strategy is. I've just been trying to cheese it with some tricks. So it's been a bit of a mad... Or like the rewind feature, you've really got to be creative. Or you just spam for a Rock's Feather in the item blocks and then use 2 of those. There's options. But that's been a good time. I've been, like I say, I've been trying to do it while keeping fit. So I've now become very good at playing Mario Kart while walking. That's a very niche ability to have, but I guess it's there now. So yeah, that's what I've been doing a lot of. I've been trying to do at least at least 7 or 8 hours a week of that. So it's been good. It's been good. So that's sort of my main thing for this month. I have been playing other games, but I'll talk about them more next time.
No, it's a fun one. I've maybe got I've half of the P-switches, a little over maybe, and medallions. That was just from messing around in it every now and then. I do. Now that we have this method to actually track it, because without it, if you start from the beginning, you can do it on your own, like you did. But if you don't start from the beginning, you're kind of screwed. So this allows me to actually be able to go back to it, and I mean to when I have a period where hey, there's a week before this new game comes out, I need something to play. I'll squeeze it in there. But for myself, this month, I will talk about the big release, Hollow Knight Silksong, which shadow dropped out of nowhere, crashed all the Nintendo and eShop and Steam and whatnot, and now has crashed out its fan base because loads of people are molding that it's too hard, and it's quite funny. And I get it, it's difficult, it's a tough one, but if you know and like Hollow Knight, I think you know what you're getting into, really. Very punishing, but man, it's very satisfying. It gives you the options. You can upgrade yourself, when you get the dash move and certain special abilities, you can zip around enemies and dodge them perfectly, and it's just a matter of learning, right? You got to learn the tells, when they're going to do things, expect to die, and weirdly enjoy it, because some of my best moments in the game, I was dying over and over to certain bosses, and I was having the time of my life. I'm someone who can get salty quite easily, but I didn't in this because it was fun. The moments where it loses that, there's a particular problem it has, which people will agree with, which is the run-up to bosses, where you return to a bench when you die, and sort of Dark Souls kind of thing, like a campfire. And sometimes, this bench will be 2 minutes walk. The worst one was a 4-minute trek from the boss fight, which means every time you die, and you will be dying often because these fights are tough, you have to run the entire path back. And that's what gets frustrating. Especially because a lot of them aren't even tough to get back. There's not even many enemies there. It just wastes your time when you could just restart the boss fight. Just put a bench outside the door, It's just artificial difficulty, and that I can understand putting people off. And I do think the game sort of maybe overstates its welcome a little bit. It's kind of hefty. And those moments, when you have one of those, it's fine. When you have multiple of those over the course of a long game, I was ready to end it by the time I, got to the end. In fact, there's, from what I understand, a quite substantial post-game that is almost more of the game, almost in a near sort of way. But I haven't really delved into that because I was yeah, I'm satisfied. I took my punishment and that's enough for me. I can only take so much. But I don't want to sound negative on the game because I can't praise it enough for how great it is at exploration. The way that the sort of the world building of the environment and the little backgrounds you see and that sort of storytelling. Just the little bits of dialogue are so charming. Hornet herself is a fun character who, unlike the protagonist of the first game, she actually speaks, so you sort of get to know her and what she's thinking. And the music, I mean, it's great, it's atmospheric. It's a joy of a game to get lost in. And also the way that every playthrough will be different because you can discover... It's a true Metroidvania in that you can discover items and abilities in completely different ways. So you can... I keep stumbling upon areas, whereas someone who's beaten the game didn't even know this area existed. It's an entire whole section of the game. It's that level of stuff. I did play a little bit post-game, and I kept finding new things wait, how long was there an entire section here? An entire underground city? That gives you a new counter move that I just didn't get when I beat the main game, but is great. It's the options, and it's that true feeling of old school exploration and go by, people criticize a lot of modern games for having here's your check mark of go check out this spot and this spot and this spot and looking at your map the entire time. Hollow Knight's the antithesis to that, and it does that masterfully. So it was a long wait for Silksong, but I think they delivered, I would say. So it was a fun time.
I mean, apparently they've made the game easier, by the way, because there were so many complaints about the bosses. They've made the bosses easier.
Specifically, I believe they made, like, it was sort of some early game stuff they made easier.
Yes.
Two particular bosses, which I had already beaten when they did that, by the way. So, I don't know if that's good, because that means I can brag about it, or bad, because it means I had to suffer more. But, hey, this game is the true example of you have to suffer for your art or whatever. So, you're gonna have a fun time, but you gotta work for it.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's one of those tricky games. I should probably get into Hollow Knight at some point. I've just never really looked at it. I mean, it could be interesting.
I'd definitely add it to your list. It's always a long list, but you can get Hollow Knight pretty cheap these days, so put it on there somewhere. But
I should. Absolutely.
I guess that's the end for this. We made it just under an hour. What do you know? We are capable when we need to. But I suppose, thank you everyone for watching. You know, of course, you can find us here on BunchaJokahs on Spotify or other podcasting sites. For audio-only versions, YouTube for videos with graphics and whatnot. Monthly discussions, first Sunday of each month. And we always have middle videos, either gameplay or reactions to directs or breakdowns on certain games. We're still considering that Danganronpa 2x2 one. It's I want it. But we'll see. Stay tuned for all of that. But where else can people find yourself at, Kai?
Twitch.tv/Fascurreyn. I'll just be doing some random stuff there until Inazuma comes out, if it ever does.
Until it hopefully comes out. Well,
yeah.
It's soon. They've got... If they're going to delay it, they only have like a month to do so fingers crossed. And you can catch me at twitch.tv/TheChosenOneLegend. Every now and then be playing Ocarina of Time Randomizer, which is a lot of fun. And we've done some game show stuff recently with Kai, which was pretty neat.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we'll put a link to both of those in the description, as well as our friend Samm, who's our graphic designer, makes work on the thumbnails and any art you see. Thank you once again, Samm. Well, guess we'll just see you guys in the next video. Take care.
Goodbye.